Mic check, here we go. Clarence Crane, Jay Fry. Clarence Crane, Jay Fry. Need you guys off to the stage to my right, to your left as you're facing it. Mic check. Need James Scott. James Scott, need you for the Silver Anniversary team, please. James Scott out to the lobby for the Silver Anniversary team photo. Thank you. Okay.
I am.
All right, folks. If everybody can head back to their seats, please. This is a very fun, but sometimes can be a long evening. So we're doing our best to get started on time as best we possibly can. Since this is a group that is 900 strong this evening, we try to, and we are completely sold out for the evening as well. I think somebody was scalping tickets at the front door. So have a seat unless you're in line for a drink. Then I don't blame you. I would keep waiting in line for that drink as well. Well, we'll get started with this. First of all, my name is Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network, and I am thrilled to get to be the master of ceremonies for this event again this year. Officially, welcome to the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony, awards presentation, and our induction banquet. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me introduce to you people that were all far better basketball players than me. We will start with our silver anniversary team. The late John Stewart III, being represented by his father, John Stewart Jr. Brett Snodgrass. James Scott. Corey Ryan. And I see that the alphabetical order got changed up a little bit, so I'll start to go the opposite direction to help. So let me start with the A's. That's how they're lined up anyway. Welcome to like live television. Darnell Archie. Brad Borgman. Brian Bullington. Jermaine Dearman. We want to recognize Jason Gardner. He's a little busy with the University of Arizona being in the NCAA tournament, but he's a part of the silver anniversary team as well. Alan Goff. Gavin Groniger. Bernard Hollins. Jonathan Holmes. Bruce Johnson. Let's also recognize a member that could not be with us tonight, Darmetrius Kilgore. Kenneth Lowe. Ferik Mujezinovich. It's been a while since I had to say that name. I had to practice that a couple of times. Rob Robbins. Poor Rob didn't plan on being last, but that's the way that it worked out. I want to make sure we recognize a gentleman that you have seen up here for some time. So he is our first Hall of Fame inductee. We're going to recognize, ladies and gentlemen, Dick Harris. John R. Adams. Brian Bippus. Clarence Crane. Dan Dockich. Jay Fry. Our Silver Medal Award winner, Bill Walker. Al Gooden. Joe Mullen. Pete Smith. Also to make sure we recognize the family of Larry A. Weatherford Sr. And fittingly, on the 70th anniversary of the Milan Miracle, Gene White. Now, while this group is all standing, we ask that you please join us. The flag is right behind me as we begin the evening with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please, everyone, have a seat. And while you are doing that, we want to welcome, of course, longtime Hall of Fame board member Phil Eskew. He will be handling our invocation this evening.
According to your own beliefs, let us bow our heads. We gather here this evening to praise and honor the lives and careers of our living and deceased honorees. Each honoree has been blessed with talents that enable them to succeed both on the court and in their daily lives. We also thank our honorees for living their lives in a way that has inspired each of us to model our own lives and those of younger boys after them. Our deceased honorees will be forever remembered and recognized by the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. We pause to give thanks for the many coaches, teachers, teammates, and officials that have motivated them and touched their lives. We give thanks to their parents and family who sacrificed, took them to many practices and games, encouraged each to play by the rules, to never give up, and to be a great teammate. We give thanks for the leadership and vision of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. We ask your blessings for all who have gathered this evening as we acknowledge the accomplishments of our honorees. Bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies, and we give thanks to those who prepare it. Guide all of us as we return to our homes safely with renewed memories of the wonderful game of basketball. Amen.
Before we officially begin dinner, I'll ask you to turn to page 8 in your program. Phil referenced those that have gone before us that are members of this Hall of Fame. There is always an in memoriam, and I thought it was fitting that we reference all of those that are on page 8. So tonight we remember the contributions to the game, but obviously more important to the game of life, of Marvin Cave, Mike McCarter, Pete Pritchett, Dee Monroe, Virgil Sweet, J. Ronald Ferguson, Howard Catt, Terry Dissinger, Arlie Andrews, Bob Knight, Larry McIntyre, George McGinnis, Eric Montross, William Holzbach, and Richard Butt. Please, a moment of silence for those that we have lost in the last year. Thank you very much for that. With that, please enjoy the fellowship, the great company around you. Dinner is about to be served, and we'll start the program as soon as the last table has been served here tonight. Thank you very much. All right, folks, as a heads up, in football they have a 2-minute warning. This is your 5-minute warning. We're going to start the program promptly at 7 o'clock. You want another drink? Now's the time. Need to hit the restroom? Also, now's a good time. Back in 5 minutes, and we'll start our program then. Thank you. All right, folks, if you could head back to your seats, let's get started with the program for the evening. You got everybody? Good on pictures? Okay. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as it's time to present our awards, induct our Hall of Famers, and do what we get to do every year, and that's celebrate the great game of basketball here in the state of Indiana. So as a reminder, we ask for the courtesy of all those around you, please turn off or silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. Listen, I know you're not going to turn them off. It says that in the script because you're going to take pictures and record and post stuff to Facebook. Just put them on silence if you don't mind. Everything else we can take care of. While we're giving thank yous, how about a nice round of applause for Marianne Sullivan and the staff here at Primo's Banquet Hall. Again, there's over 900 people here in attendance. The service was tremendous. The food, outstanding. Thank you very much. While we're giving thank yous, I want to recognize the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame staff. Executive Director Matt Martin, Assistant Director Kayla Kessler, Operations Coordinator Cheryl Betton, Publications Coordinator Noah Dahlquist, and Development Director Corey Griswell. If you guys are in the room, because sometimes you're out here, please stand and be recognized. Ticket sales were so good this year. The Hall of Fame table is normally in the front. The Dockich family bought that table, so they're somewhere in the back, somewhere over there. But the other folks that deserve so much credit and plaudits for the operation of the Hall of Fame on a day-to-day basis is the Hall of Fame volunteers. Without these women and men, the Hall of Fame would not be able to function in terms of how it does. For those of you that made the trip to Newcastle today, and if you want to support the Hall of Fame by being involved beyond attending today's festivities, please consider joining the membership. Go to page 141 in your program for membership information and registration. And what you see on your tables, don't take home the bowl and the candle. That stays. But if something else has a Hall of Fame logo on it, it is take it home with you. That is designed to go home with you so you know more about this wonderful organization. And frankly, this would not be possible without tremendous sponsors. So thank you to the Indiana Pacers and Fever, who of course present our silver medal award that we will have momentarily, the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association, the IHSAA, Citizen State Bank, Henry Community Health, Jostens, and Shepherd Insurance. Please, a round of applause for them. One final plug for the evening. You notice the cameras back there if you want to turn around and wave to the center of the room. This is being streamed, which we've done the last several years, but obviously is of greater importance because of the fact we sold out tonight. So now is the time to text somebody. If somebody that could not be here that wants to watch the program, now is the time to send that text or email. iscsportsnetwork.com, ISC's Twitter or YouTube, and you'll be able to watch all of the festivities tonight. So now with the official welcome, let's welcome the Hall of Fame President, Donna Sullivan.
Thank you, Greg. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you and all the honorees, families and friends to tonight's program. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to repeat all the thank yous that Greg just got through giving, because we all definitely owe it to the Hall of Fame staff and the board of directors, executive committees, and the volunteers for all their help. I first started going to the Hall of Fame some 20 years ago with a gentleman called Lloyd Barney Scott, who was the basketball coach at Seymour High School. I never expected one day to become the president. I learned a lot about the Hall of Fame from him on our drives from Seymour to Newcastle. As I began my 2-year term last July, I didn't know what to expect in the next 8 months. But I thank all the Hall of Fame staff, the board of directors, executive committee for the honor of allowing me to serve in this position, honoring the great players and coaches and contributors that make up the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. This evening, we honor the class of 2024. From the groundbreaking in October, to the Classic in December, to the January meetings with possible companies to develop our new exhibits at the exhibit hall. And those of you that were there today saw the construction that was going on. I thank you for your support and attendance tonight, because without your help, encouragement, and financial assistance, we couldn't accomplish the mission of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, which is to honor, preserve, and promote the heritage of this great game, basketball in Indiana. So now to sit back, relax, and let's have another great program. And I'm going to be the first award presenter to the President's Award. The President's Award goes this year to a gentleman who worked 40 years in school in South Bend school system. The last 20 years he was there as the athletic director of South Bend Clay. He graduated from South Bend Central and Purdue. He has great memories of the 1963 state runner-up led by classmate Mike Warren. He was elected to the board of directors in 2015, and he served on several committees, including the Silver Medal Committee, the Member Awareness Committee, and most recently, was co-chair of the men's Silver Anniversary team. He's been a go-to person if the Hall of Fame needed anything about a school in the South Bend area, or knew anything about a player or coach, whether it be either girls or boys. The winner of this year's President's Award is Greg Humnecke. Greg, come forward, please. Come back here. I'm going to make you come up.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You're taking pictures here.
They're right there.
Thank you. That was a nice surprise.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Mark. I'm going to tell Mark, right? Mark Bolts will present the Center Circle Award at this time.
Thanks, Donna. Each year, the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame honors 3 individuals for their contributions as Indiana high school boys basketball officials. They're here tonight to be recipients of the Center Circle Officials Award. Tonight, these 3 outstanding officials are recognized for their contributions to our great game. As they're introduced, we ask each recipient or their representative to come to the stage, where they will be met by my friend Mark Massariu, 2019 Center Circle honoree, who will present them with their plaque. To view their bios, please refer to page 30 in your program. Our first honoree tonight is John Lozier. The late John Lozier, a 1953 graduate of Leesburg High School, played basketball, ran track, and played baseball. John worked 24 sectionals, 19 regionals, 10 semi-states, and 2 state finals in 1979 and 1980. He had officiated numerous other tournaments and was named the 1982 Roy Gardner Memorial Award winner. He was a member of the North Central Kokomo Officials Association, serving as an instructor and rules interpreter for 15 to 20 years.
John also mentored numerous officials in the NCOA and in the Logansport area. Among those on hand representing the Lozier family tonight are his son, all the way from Naples, Florida, Mark Lozier. Congratulations to the 2024 Center Circle Award winner, the late John Lozier, and his family. Here you go, Mark. Oops. Our second honoree this evening is Richard Modriker. Dick was a 1961 Logansport graduate who played basketball and baseball. He worked 34 sectionals, 28 regionals, 12 semi-states, and 1 state finals in 2005, as well as working the 2001 Hall of Fame Classic. He was a member of the North Central Officials Association for over 56 years, where he served as president, vice president, rules interpreter, clinician, observer, and he is now retired from his position with the Boeing Corporation and resides in Georgia. Please help me honor 2024 Center Circle Officials Award honoree, Dick Modriker. Our third and final honoree this evening is Jerry Taylor. Jerry is a 1974 Greensburg graduate, played tennis both at Greensburg and later at Ball State. Jerry worked 19 sectionals, 16 regionals, 9 semi-states, and 5 state finals, 92, 96, 2000, 2005, and 2008. He was a 2007 recipient of the Roy Gardner Award. He won the 1995-96 IHSAA NFOA Outstanding Official Award for boys basketball in Indiana. He was a member of the Western Officials Association, serving as vice president and scheduling chairman. He worked with rules interpretation meetings, observations, and as a clinician all over the state. Congratulations to 2024 award winner, Mr. Jerry Taylor.
Mark, thank you. And of course, Mark is our most recent past president of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, and he is doing tremendous work with a company called RefReps, which is designed to make it easier for those at the high school or college level to be able to get their officials license in a variety of sports because we are in great need of officials. Frankly, basketball tends to be in a better situation than some other sports. But even though Mark's days on an NFL sideline or on an Indiana high school basketball court, which he would do those at the same time, I think a handful of years ago I saw you work a playoff game, then I had you with Avon and Hamilton Southeastern about 3 days later, if I remember right. But again, kudos to Mark for what he has done, giving back to the game and giving back to officiating in the state of Indiana. One of the things that we will do before we recognize our silver anniversary team as well as our Hall of Fame inductees tonight is recognize some anniversary teams, as in state champions from 100 years ago and 50 years ago and from 25 years ago. So we start with the state champions of 1924, the Martinsville Artesians. I want to see you sign Artesians, by the way. Andy's on top of his game. This is Andy Rourke, everybody. Haley will be up here as well during the course of our ceremonies tonight. The Artesians in 24 were led by head coach Glenn Curtis. They beat Everett, Case, and Frankfort. There's a couple of coaching legends in this state. 36-30, the finals were held at the old Coliseum in Indianapolis, and they took place on Friday, March 14th and Saturday, March 15th. Martinsville finished the season 22-7, beat Bedford in the afternoon game to play Frankfort in the championship game that night. Coach Curtis became the first coach to lead 2 different schools to a state championship, having coached Lebanon to the title in 1918. The Artesians tournament runs consisted of wins over Bloomington, Spencer, Paragon, Monrovia, and Winslow. Those are the Eskimos, by the way. Before reaching the Coliseum, beating Liberty Center and Connorsville, but then beating Bedford and Frankfort. Yes, you would play 4 games to win a state championship back then. Hugh Brown was the leading scorer for the Artesians in that game. He had 11 in the championship game, 12 in the semifinals. Other members of that squad, Darrell Wright, Robert Hine, Warren Schneider, Robert Schneider, Stanley Byram, Clarence Poling, Walter Messmer, Lester Reynolds, and Raymond Ennis. And only the broadcast nerd that I am would note, in the 2024 final, we have a player named Ramon Enos. A century ago, we had Raymond Ennis. It's all connected, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, the 1924 IHSAA basketball state champs, the Martinsville Artesians. Now let's recognize the champions from 50 years ago, Fort Wayne Northrop. Joined by Rick Goins, Jerry Pearson, Mike Broughton up here on stage. Fort Wayne Northrop beat Jeffersonville. Sorry, Mike. 59-56. Coach Dilly's Fort Wayne Northrop Bruins were crowned 1974 state basketball champions at Assembly Hall. This was the final state finals at Assembly Hall before they moved to Market Square the following year. Northrop defeated Lafayette Jeff 63-49 in the second game of the afternoon. Walter Jordan led the way with 26 points. Mike Muff had 12. James Wimbley had 11. Tom Madden had 10. Jeff beat Franklin in the semifinals to get to the championship game. In the championship game, Jordan led the way for the Bruins with 20, Madden 16, Muff 10. Northrop finished the year 28-1. Let's recognize those that can join us tonight. Dennis Beck, Tom Madden, other members of the team, Jeff Stratton, Charles Combs, Walter Jordan, Kathy Gaines, Doree Lemmert, Marcus Mitchell Jr., Kathleen Montag. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the 1974 state champs from Fort Wayne Northrop. Congratulations, guys. Now we get to 1999, and we have 4 state champs to recognize. First of all, in Class 1A, Tecumseh. They beat Lafayette Central Catholic 55-43. Team was coached by Kevin Oxley. They went 23-4. It was the first state title in any team sport. The Braves did not win their first basketball sectional until that year. Jake Holder was the Trester Mental Attitude Award winner. He had 15 points. Jimmy Funkhauser, Jeremy Broshears, Matt Potter, all were in double figures. Tecumseh went 23-4 and were defeated by North Central in the Tournament of Champions. Unfortunately, the Tecumseh members could be here tonight, so again, a round of applause for your 1A champs 25 years ago, Tecumseh. Now we get to the 2A champs of 1999, Westview. Westview scored 26 fourth-quarter points to pull away from Paoli for a 71-52 win. School's first championship in any team sport. Westview had balanced scoring up and down its roster. Jeff Nelson was the only scorer in double figures in the game with 21. He had a double-double. He had 10 rebounds as well. Westview was ranked 5th. They were coached by Troy Neely. They were 23-3. They beat Plainfield in the Tournament of Champions the next week, lost to North Central by 4. Members of the team that are joining us today: Darlene Matthew, Randy Miller, Michael Christner, Scott Hostetler, Troy Neely, Jeff Nelson, Derek Yoder. Or they were supposed to join us today. Come on, guys. It takes a while for the microphone to get all the way to that end of the room. There are some people that are actually on the other side of 465 at this banquet tonight. Your 2A state champs from 1999, Westview. The 3A champions, the Plainfield Quakers in 1999. 4 starters had double figures in a 77-64 win against Muncie Southside. Jake Wiltrout led the Quakers with 19 points. Gavin Groniger finished with 17. First team state championship in Plainfield history. The Quakers went 26-1, were ranked number 1 in the state for head coach Dana Green. Jeff Wiltrout was the Trester Mental Attitude Award winner. Members that can be with us tonight: Coach Dana Green, Coach Pat Cavanaugh, Coach Rod Chandler, Coach Brian Pelkey. They had a lot of coaches. Randy Vanderbush, Gavin Groniger, Jeff Wiltrout, Jake Wiltrout, Kevin Burkopes, Brett Harden, Dustin Fish, Travis Campbell, Brian Wester, Josh Moster, Adam Musters, and manager David Pierce, your champions of 1999 in 3A, the Plainfield Quakers. All right, Plainfield officially wins the reunion award for tonight's game. And now let's recognize our 4A champs from 1999, the North Central Panthers. North Central was a 5-point win over Elkhart Central in the state championship game. Jason Gardner scored a game-high 24 points to help North Central win its first basketball state championship. Sean Radford had 20 and 10. Nick Gardner had 11. Now, unfortunately, none of the players could be here tonight. However, we do have a good chunk of the coaching staff. So please, Doug Mitchell, Basil Smotherman, Walt Morris, Team Dr. Art Redding, and I think one special guest might be joining us up here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the North Central Panthers. The young man that you just saw walk by is Jason Gardner, Jr. We're going to reference him again coming up in a matter of moments as well. In fact, literally like 4 or 5 players from now, because it's now time to recognize the gentlemen that are seated in front of me as Gavin sits back. See, Gavin gets a lot of awards tonight, and not just for his hair. It's magnificent. But now it's time to recognize, as we recognize 4 state champs from 1999, it's time to recognize the top basketball players from 1999. It is now time to recognize our 2024 Men's Silver Anniversary team. To learn more about these players, turn to page 32 in your program. We go in alphabetical order. We start with Darnell Archie, Newcastle High School. Darnell graduated from Newcastle as the 8th all-time leading scorer, and that says a lot. 2nd team All-State. At Butler, he set a Division I record for consecutive free throws made at 85. He also set the Butler record for threes made at 217. He joins us all the way from Mobile, Alabama, where he is the head coach at the University of Mobile at the NAIA level, Darnell Archie. Next up is Brad Borgman, Jacksonville High School. Brad, the all-time leading scorer at JCD, set several school records, 3rd team All-State, spent time playing at Eastern Kentucky, the University of Indianapolis, and IU Southeast, and his time at IUS completed with playing in the NAIA National Tourney and was named the NAIA Region MVP, Brad Borgman. Our next honoree is Brian Bullington, Madison High School. You may think of Brian as a baseball player, but he set the school record for threes made in a game, a season, and a career. And oh yes, he was named Mr. Baseball and pitched a one here in the state championship game as Madison won the 3A title. At Ball State, Brian played baseball for 3 years, was the Mid-American Conference Pitcher of the Year, and oh, by the way, the #1 overall draft pick of the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2002, pitched professionally for 13 years, Brian Bullington. Next up, Jermaine Dearman, Warren Central High School. Jermaine led his team in rebounding as a junior and senior, had 21 double-doubles in his career, was a Saluki at Southern Illinois, scored just shy of 1,500 career points, had over 800 rebounds, got to play in the NCAA tournament at the RCA Dome in 2003. He played professionally overseas for 10 years, and I know he's dominating pickup games somewhere. Jermaine Dearman. Now, I referenced Jason Gardner Jr. Come back up, young man, because we're going to talk about your dad, Jason Gardner Sr. He's making a dramatic entrance for his second appearance on stage in 3 minutes. So Jason Sr. was Indiana's Mr. Basketball and a McDonald's All-American, led North Central to the 4A state championship, scored over 1,600 career points, played at the University of Arizona, played in the national championship game, was the Francis Pomeroy Naismith Player of the Year in 2003, played professionally in Germany, former head coach at IUPUI, now on the staff at the University of Arizona, Jason Gardner Sr. By the way, for those of you who know his son is a freshman and the sixth man on the Fishers team that will play for a state championship next Saturday, which means if the Tigers win that game, 25-year anniversary of dad winning a state title, son gets to win one too. I'm sure Ben Davis has something to say about that. Best of luck to both teams in terms of the 4A championship game. Next up, Alan Goff, Terre Haute North High School. Alan led his team to 2 sectional and 2 regional championships, scored just shy of 1,200 points. Team MVP 3 times. School record for career steals and steals in a game. Played at Vincennes, then Lehigh, and then the University of Southern Indiana, was a starter all 4 years of college basketball, Alan Goff. Gavin Groniger, Plainfield High School. Gavin set school records for career points, season points, career threes, season three-pointers, while being named the team's MVP all 4 years of high school. 3A state champ, first team AP All-State, played at the University of Michigan, and now is back at his alma mater as an assistant coach, and the Quakers are going to be good for the next couple of years. Gavin Groniger. By the way, whoever on the committee decided to have Chad give the award to Gavin is phenomenal, because I had never seen them in the same room before now. I really wasn't sure they were 2 separate people. Now I know. And I am jealous of both of your hair exceedingly. Next up, Bernard Hollins, Fort Wayne Northside. Bernard led all of Fort Wayne City scores as both a junior and senior, set the Northside record of over 1,300 career points. Played at Wright State University, holds the school records for free throws made. Played professionally for 10 years before establishing Always 100, which trains girls and boys, resulting in scholarship opportunities for numerous players. Bernard Hollins. You may not have heard it, but he got the official seal of approval from Al Gooden. That's good enough for me. Next up, Jonathan Holmes, Bloomington South High School. John set 5 records at South, was a first-team All-State performer, scored over 1,500 career points. Of course, had the pleasure of playing for his dad, the state's all-time wins leader in JR. Played at the University of North Carolina. Got to be in the Final Four that happened to be up the street in 2000. And these days, he is a college assistant coach at Miami of Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Holmes. And Jonathan, like all of us, you look more like, we all look like our fathers more every day. You're getting there. Bruce Johnson, Austin High School. Bruce scored 1,577 career points, four-time all-conference selection and conference MVP as a senior, played one season at Kentucky Wesleyan, then three at Bellarmine, where he was twice the team's leading scorer. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Johnson. Now, our next honoree could not be here tonight, Darmetrius Kilgore of South Bend, Washington. Darmetrius led South Bend, Washington to its first sectional title in 32 years. First team all-conference, several all-state teams. Played 2 years at Tyler Junior College, was second team JUCO All-American, played 2 years at Purdue, played in both the International Basketball League and the CBA, Darmetrius Kilgore. Next up, Kenneth Lowe, Gary Westside. Kenneth scored just shy of 1,100 points in his three-year high school career. Second team All-State by the AP. Again, 4 seasons, 3 years as a starter at Purdue. He scored over 1,000 points as a Boilermaker as well. He received the John Wooden Award as the team MVP at Purdue his senior year. And his career free throw percentage, 86%. Scorers don't let points go by at the line. Kenneth Lowe. A name that I will go 2 for 2 on today, Ferik Mujezinovich. That was my scholarship for the night right there. Second team All-State AP, three-time most valuable player, scored over 1,100 points in his days at Jasper, had the school record for rebounds and season field goal percentage, played 3 years at the University of Evansville, battling through knee surgeries as best he can. These days calls Houston, Texas home, Ferik Mujezinovich. Rob Robbins, Delta High School. First team All-State by the AP. School records for career points, three-pointers, and free throw percentage. As a sophomore, he played in the state runner-up in the final single-class state tournament. 3 years at Ball State. Again, knee injuries limited his time at Ball State, but still was a fantastic player. And that last year, that Ball State team was really good. Had a couple of big wins in Maui. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Robbins. Next up, Corey Ryan from Northeastern High School. Corey scored 1,445 career points. First player in Northeastern history to receive a Division I athletic scholarship. Played 4 years at Bowling Green State University. How about that, Coach? Co-MVP as a senior and led the team in steals, Corey Ryan. James Scott, Elkhart Central High School. James helped his team win 2 sectionals, 2 regionals, 1 semi-state, and were the Class 4A runners-up his senior year. Spent time playing at Manchester College, James Scott. Brett Snodgrass, East Central High School. Brett scored over 1,400 points during his 4 years, 1 at South Ripley, the last 3 at East Central. Set 13 school records for the Trojans. 4-year starter at Huntington, where he scored 1,860 points and played in 3 NAIA national tourneys, 1 ending in the Final Four, the other ending in the Elite 8, Brett Snodgrass. And last, not least, and certainly very deservingly, the late John Stewart III. John played 2 years at Lawrence North, where he scored nearly 800 points, had 500 rebounds. Led his team to 2 conference championships, 1 Marion County championship, 1 sectional championship. Was headed to play at the University of Kentucky. Sadly, we all know that John passed away during the state tournament at Columbus North High School. Representing the family is his father, John Stewart Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, John Stewart III. Again, I talked about the connections in life, and I was lucky enough to be able to do the radio for IUPUI for 9 years. And one of those years was the year that we played in the NCAA tournament in 2003. Who do we play? Kentucky, where John was going to play. One of John's teammates at Lawrence North and Fred Long was on that IUPUI team. And John's number was all over Fred's shoes. It's amazing the connections that we all have in life. So to the Stewart family, congratulations, and I'm so thankful we could recognize you here on this evening. One more time, our silver anniversary team. Well, that takes care of the front row. How about we get to the back row now, shall we? Time for our Hall of Fame inductees. We will start with our men's centennial inductee. To learn more about our Hall of Famers, you can turn to page 12 in your program. But we start with a player from 100 years ago, the late Emory Druckenmiller. Emory played at Syracuse High School. Emory, or Druck, served as the team captain for all 4 years. Syracuse won the South Bend sectional over Crawfordsville 20-17, and Druck scored 18 of the 20 points. He was named unanimous All-State, played 4 years of basketball and baseball at Indiana University. He coached at Syracuse and Angola before coaching basketball and baseball at Tri-State. Emory Druckenmiller. Representing the family of Emory Druckenmiller is Lori O'Hare. Congratulations to our centennial honoree. Now we recognize those honorees that are no longer with us. The late Chuck DeVoe, Park School. Chuck played 3 years at Park, captain in all-conference during his senior year. He was a 3-year letter winner at Princeton, where he was captain and named to the first-team All-Ivy League. Chuck was instrumental in forming the ABA and bringing the Indiana Pacers to Indianapolis and getting them into the NBA. He succeeded his brother John as the second president of the Indiana Pacers, Chuck DeVoe. Representing the family and representing Chuck is George DeVoe, again, Chuck DeVoe. Come on up here. Next up, the late Doug Linville, New Salem High School. Doug scored over 2,100 career points during his high school career, the all-time leading scorer in New Salem history. He played at Brevard Junior College and the University of West Florida. He is a member of the West Florida Hall of Fame. Doug taught in the Mount Vernon school system for 32 of his 33 years in education. Representing the Linville family is Becky Linville, Doug Linville. Come on up. Our next honoree is the late Jim Morris, Jeffersonville High School. Jim was the MVP of the sectional and regional for Jeff as they were ranked number 1 in the state most of his senior year. Spent 1 year at Notre Dame, 3 years at Bellarmine. In 1960, he guided Louisville Flagey to the Kentucky State Championship. Jim also spent time in New Albany before being the head coach, athletic director, and so many other things at IU Southeast. Jim Morris. Representing Jim is Joanne. Congratulations to Jim Morris. All right, to the Morris clan, as I step away from the microphone, he's right there so I can wave to him. I have a little personal connection to the Morris family because his son, Steve, just retired as an educator, and his final job was at my beloved hometown of Lanesville High School. I am so happy for you and the family. Congratulations, my friend. You got it. And if you grew up where I did, Jim was absolutely IUS athletics. He was everything to the Grenadier program, and I'm so happy that he and his family get honored tonight. We have one more honoree that is no longer with us. It is time to recognize the late James Paul Webb III from South Bend Adams High School. James was the second freshman to start for a South Bend school, the first being Mike Warren. You might have heard of him. He scored 34 points in the state championship game and finished as the leading scorer in South Bend/St. Joseph County history with 1,769 points. He played 1 year at the University of Cincinnati, 2 years at California State Polytechnic. James Webb. Representing James is Angela Hamilton. Now it is time for the Indiana Pacers Silver Medal Award. And this award carries entry into the Hall of Fame, but kind of represents a lot of different elements of the game. I am fortunate to be on the committee that picks this award, and we have a variety of coaches, writers, broadcasters, contributors to the game. And we have a very fitting winner this time. It is Bill Walker. Bill is a graduate of Newcastle High School, where he lettered in cross country and track, was a student manager for the basketball team. Bill has been the public address announcer for Huntington North Athletics for over 30 years. Bill oversaw the Huntington North High School radio station while teaching at Huntington North from 1974 through 2007. He has kept stats and been the public address announcer for Huntington University as well. Bill received the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame President's Award 5 years ago for all of his hard work and dedication, and the IASB John King Award, that's the Indiana Association of School Broadcasters, in 2022. Your Pacers Silver Medal Award winner, Bill Walker. Take the trophy first.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Got to get the picture. See, Bill's used to organizing this, not getting the award. There you go, buddy.
Okay, thanks. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the Indiana Pacers for their sponsorship of this Silver Medal Award. And now I'd like to introduce some family members that are here this evening. Cheryl, my wife of 37 years, is here. My 92-year-old mother, Betty, hopefully is watching at home. And my brother, Dr. Paul, and his wife, Kathy, and my sister, Janice, and her husband, Tom, are here, along with Aunt Karen and her son, Sam. And I also have two nephews that are here this evening, Will and his wife, Ashley, and Andy and his girlfriend, Emily. Thanks so much to all of you for being here this evening. You probably know quite a bit about most of the inductees on the platform tonight, but maybe not so much about me. And I'll try and change that in the next couple of minutes. I didn't grow up in Indiana, but my family moved here in 1967 when I was in the 9th grade. That also happened to be the same year that the Newcastle Trojans went all the way to the Final Four, and the whole town had a week-long celebration, the likes that I'd never seen, and I was hooked. My faith and my family are my number one and number two loves, with basketball coming in third. But I bet if you would ask Cheryl, she would probably tell you that basketball moves up a spot during the winter months. I remember when I first got involved in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame and was a member of the board of directors. I attended that very first meeting, and I looked around the table and I knew everybody. They were legends sitting everywhere, amazing players and outstanding coaches, and then there was me. I'm thinking to myself, what in the world am I doing here? And I'm pretty sure the other board members were thinking, who in the world is this guy? Well, I'm honored to say I'm now friends with most of them, and I can tell you I don't match any of them in playing or coaching ability. However, I'm right up there with all of them when it comes to my love of the game of basketball. And finally, I need to recognize two gentlemen who can't join us in person tonight, but are with me in spirit. First is Bob Strait. Mr. Strait, I never called him Bob, was the former Huntington North principal who hired me right out of IU in 1974. He sent me an email one afternoon after I had retired, wanting to know if I had an interest in being an associate director at the Hall of Fame. Well, since I didn't play basketball or coach basketball, I kind of felt like I really wasn't eligible. I didn't know what it all entailed, but I finally agreed that I would, and that led to spots on the board of directors and the executive committee. Mr. Strait was the person responsible for my involvement in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. And finally, the other person was Ray Pavey. He was my only uncle. He was never Ray, but always Uncle Bud, or just Bud. He was always my favorite player and always my favorite coach. He spent a lifetime passing on his love and his passion for the game of basketball and for the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame on to me. I'm forever grateful for that. For several years, Uncle Bud and I would take a day each summer and go on a gym tour to a different part of the Hoosier State to see old high school gyms. It wasn't always easy getting a wheelchair inside some of the old gyms, but we usually managed to do it. It was also my favorite day of summer, and I miss Bud every day. And even though Mr. Strait and Uncle Bud have both passed away, they are still a huge part of my life. I can assure you that I feel their smiles from up above this evening, and I know they would both be very proud. From the bottom of my heart, I'm humbled, and this is the honor of a lifetime. Thank you.
So for those that don't know, Bill is basically like the central nervous system of this event most years. He is the guy that is organizing all of the plaques. He is the guy that is keeping all of the trains on time. And I can tell you he was far more nervous getting this award than actually organizing an actual event. So he's looking forward to going back to being the guy behind the scenes next year. But again, Bill, you are most certainly deserving of this honor, and congratulations. Let's now meet our Hall of Famers, shall we? We go in alphabetical order. We start with John Adams from Rising Sun High School. John scored 1,568 points, started every game during his four-year high school career. He played 4 years at the University of Kentucky under Coach Adolph Rupp. John played professionally for Marathon Oil and in Argentina, Brazil, England, and Mexico, and he had a very successful law career culminating in being a special justice to the Kentucky Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, John Adams. What's that? I think so.
You almost had a break tonight because I mislaid my speech. but unfortunately, my 3 grandsons found it. So you'll have to endure me for a bit. Good evening, families and friends of Indiana basketball. When Dr. Eskew called me and advised me of my selection to the Hall of Fame, I was humbled and honored. Let me now thank the selection committee and the Hall of Fame for this recognition. I want to especially thank Kara Kessler for her assistance with this process. I was sort of a pain in her tail for a whole month. I was out of town and had to contact her frequently. I want to congratulate all of the honorees being honored here tonight. When I told my family, they were excited, and my 8-year-old grandson, Cooper, said, "Is this a big deal, Granddaddy?" Well, I reviewed the bios of the recipients, and after having met many of them today, I can tell you, Cooper, it is a big deal. We all know that basketball is a team game, and any recognition I receive, I want to share with my coaches, teammates, too many to name, my schoolmates, and families and friends. I also want to acknowledge my teammates for the Marathon Oil AAU team. Several people supported my nomination to the Hall of Fame. Wes Jackson, my high school teammate, Ron Kennett, Terry Mobley, Gene Stewart, all teammates at the University of Kentucky. Steve Lockmuller and Kyle Macy, both members of the Hall of Fame, wrote letters of recommendation. Gene Demery, a Hall of Fame member who I did not know and still have not met personally, was very encouraging and helped me in this process. Gene, I appreciate your support. Since the announcement of my selection, I have had numerous messages of congratulations from family and friends, some of whom are here tonight, and I appreciate all those expressions. I want to acknowledge many people who are instrumental in this success and the success of my life. My parents, Don and Rosalie Adams, who supported me in all my endeavors. My spouse, Pam Adams, my spouse of 58 years. Pam, will you stand? You may not be able to see her. I would like to ask my family and friends that are here tonight supporting me to stand briefly so I can acknowledge you. So, please stand. Being privileged to play basketball for Hall of Fame coach Adolph Rupp and being a teammate of Hall of Fame players Cotton Nash, Tom Cron, Louis Dampier, and Pat Riley has been a blessing. But my fondest memories are the lifelong relationships of all the teammates I have had throughout the years. It's allowed me to obtain an education and be on a path for a career and lasting friendships. It would not be complete if I did not acknowledge the people of Rising Sun who have always supported our teams and me personally. Thank you for this honor. And Cooper, this is a big deal.
Our next honoree, Brian Bippus, Indiana School for the Deaf. Brian scored over 1,100 career points at Indiana School for the Deaf, was the team MVP as a sophomore, junior, and senior. Led his team to the National Deaf Basketball Championship. Played 4 seasons at Gallaudet University, where he scored just shy of 1,900 points. Has won gold medals in the Deaf Olympics and has coached the Indiana School for the Deaf to 2 national championships in volleyball. Brian Bippus.
Hi, everyone. It's humbly honoring to be here with all of you tonight and to be selected into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in the best basketball state in the country. I'm from the Indiana School for the Deaf, the smallest, if not the smallest school in the state, making this honor even more mind-boggling. I'm proud to represent the Indiana School for the Deaf and the first ISD alumni to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe I'm the second in the country as well. I've been blessed to have wonderful teammates and coaches who cared all along my high school years. Strong bonds were formed and maintained and friendships with all the boys starting when I went to ISD when I was 3 years old. I lived in the dorms with those boys during the weeks for 15 years. Those evening pickup games in the recreation center at the school helped develop our skills and our bonds. And it proved our tenacity. Our pinnacle of achievement was winning the 1987 Deaf National Championship. And apparently the IU Hoosiers followed suit later that year. I want to take this moment to recognize my teammates and coaches who are here tonight. If you don't mind standing, Derek, Troy, Sean, John, Curtis, and Dwight. And my high school coach, Bob Kovach. And my first coach, Don Herring. Thank you all for being here tonight. I know that my best buddies, Rocky and Doug, who left us too early, are watching down on us tonight. Throughout my high school years, my 4 years and beyond, I've been blessed to have Bob Kovach as my coach, my mentor, and my lifetime friend. He's been a huge role model for me, and he's had a big influence on my life. You know, IU had their Coach K, right? Purdue had their Coach K. ISD and I had a Coach K as well. I also want to thank all the teachers, the dorm staff, the administrators, the athletic directors, for their continued support and belief in all of us girls and boys. I want to share this honor with my classmates, my friends, cheerleaders and their coach, parents of my teammates. Each and every one of you contributed part of the golden era of ISD basketball. So thank you all. I want to express my heartfelt thanks to my parents and my two sisters for their continued support and encouraging my desire to be the best basketball player in ISD history. I also have to thank my youngest sister, Amy, for playing basketball with me on our driveway. And we would come up with our own plays, and so thank you for that. Today could have been better if my father would be able to be here with us to see everything. Before I sit back down, though, I do want to send a loud visual applause to all of the inductees and honorees tonight for your accomplishments. So I'm asking my family and friends who are here, join me out, help me out. Others can join along too, if we're ready. Thank you.
I've been fortunate enough to do this for the last 5 years. That may be one of the coolest moments we've had during the course of those last 5 years. And Andy did Haley is up here now. Andy did a fantastic job. Andy, thank you very much. Our next honoree is Clarence Crane, Shortridge High School. As a junior, he was sixth man on the state-ranked team that ended up being the state runner-up. As a senior, he was the leading scorer on the state's fourth-ranked team that lost to Washington in the regional. Clarence followed his coach George Theophanis to Butler, played all 4 years, received the Hilton U. Brown Mental Attitude Award. He then officiated high school and Division I basketball for 19 years. He is the only official to have played in and officiated in the Indiana Final Four. His post-basketball career includes being named Man of the Year by the 100 Black Men of Indianapolis, serving on the Butler Board of Trustees, and receiving a Sagamore of the Wabash, Clarence Crane.
Good evening. Now, John and I just met today, this afternoon, but you would think that we had exchanged our notes a little bit. So there'll be some similarities. But I just want to begin with a big thank you to the Executive Committee, the Nominations Committee, those who took time to support me throughout this process. Congratulations to my fellow inductees, as well as other honorees. Tonight, I am humbled by this honor of being inducted into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, where many outstanding basketball players have been enshrined, including my brother Bo. I have no illusions of individual greatness because I played a team sport as a team player. Achievement is not solitary. No one gets to the pinnacle of success alone. I have been blessed to have a great team and great teams throughout my life, starting with my parents and my family, who have provided great support, followed me anywhere that the car could take them to watch me, and being the youngest of 7 children, had tremendous support from all my family, my brothers and my sisters. The teachers, the coaches, the school supporters all counseled me on life. And of course, my teammates from Shortridge High School and Butler. As you heard earlier, Shortridge, we were in my junior year, we were runners up in the state, led by Hall of Famer Oscar Evans, and then went on to Butler, received one of the last scholarships that Tony Hinkle provided because he retired the next year. After college, the teamwork continued through coworkers, church members, and more family and fellow officials. Through 19 years of officiating, veteran officials mentored me and helped me to reach the level of the state final. I reached that level as only the second black official to work a Final Four in 1993. And as Greg mentioned earlier, becoming the only person to play and officiate in the Final Four. Basketball has been a major part of my life, and all of my teammates have helped me get to where I am. I humbly accept this induction on behalf of a great and with great appreciation for my great support network throughout my life. At this time, I'd like that great support, some parts of that great support network, to please stand. I think there's about 10 tables of you through there. Thank you.
After selling that many tickets, Clarence may be inducted again next year, just as a heads up. We move back a week next year. It'll be 1 week later, just so you know. Get on your calendars now. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Dockich, Andrean High School. Dan had 31 points in the state finals as a junior. As a senior, led the Fightin' 59ers to the semi-state final. First team All-State, was All-State in baseball during his senior year as well. Played basketball and baseball at Indiana University. Team captain both his junior and senior years. On the coaching staff on Indiana's national championship of 1987. Head coach at Bowling Green State for 10 years. Of course, these days, 1430 The Ticket and Outkick. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Dockich.
Thanks, Frankie. Thank you. How are you? It's a great event. What do we do? Thank you. Hey, do you sign swearing? I just checking because you never know where this may go. And I would like everybody in the middle here at least, if you don't, it's been a little bit long, just if you wouldn't stand up, I want to take a selfie to commemorate this here. So if everybody in the middle right here would just stand up. Come on, Kratzer, stand up back there, all you guys on Andre Fry's bill. Here, you guys stand up. We got to make a good selfie here. Come on, don't be shy. My friends told me don't make us stand up. Yeah, my ass. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very, very much. Kenny Lowe, you're from Gary. I'm from Northwest Indiana. You'll understand this. Northwest Indiana, here's what happened today. My son, before I got up here, said, "Hey, Dad, be funny for a minute and keep it moving." That's my son. My buddy here, Kevin Page, who I'm going to talk about, he was a great player at Andre, and he goes, "Damn, I didn't know this was a big deal." I'm like, well, there's 900 people here. It's the Indiana Hall of Fame. But us in Northwest Indiana, Kenny, we don't know nothing about this. We're part of Chicago. But I am honored to be here. And all you guys, Corey, congratulations. So proud of you. But I can't tell you. This is like my second year at Bowling Green. I look at every guy on here, and I think how much I lied to them in recruiting, trying to get them to come to Bowling Green. Like I told Jermaine Dearman, man, you can be a point guard. I don't give a damn. You play whatever you want. My 3 minutes starts now. This was all. I got to have 3 minutes. But anyway, I remember begging Kenny Lowe to come. Corey came and was a great player for us. Bernard Hollins didn't give us a sniff. For some reason he wanted to go to Wright State. Who would want to go there? Gavin Groninger went to Michigan, but we beat his ass later. I can go on and on. Farouk, I brought his ass, true story, I brought him over here. Harris Mujazinovic's brother, I brought him over here, got him into a school in Jasper, Indiana, and he still didn't come to play for me at Bowling Green. Now, some might say I should look inward. I don't. I blame him. John Holmes, J.R. Holmes is over here. J.R. Holmes, true story. This is where I knew Calvin Sampson was a jackass. J.R. Holmes and I are playing golf. Calvin Sampson and I against J.R. and Scott Turner, who played with Larry Bird. We lose $7. $7. We playing at Bloomington Country Club. I go out, I pay Scott Turner $7. Sampson, who's making like $10 million, he leaves. J.R. Holmes, and this is why he's the winningest coach in the history of Indiana high school basketball. He says, screw this, you owe me $7. He gets in his car, he drives from Bloomington Country Club to freaking Assembly Hall, walks right in Sampson's office, puts out his hand and says, give me that damn $7. JR, you tell me I'm lying. That's exactly right. All right, now to the speech. I had to warm you up a little bit. You've been sitting here a little bit. I'm the luckiest man in the world. I'm not going to lie to you. I am literally the luckiest man in the world. Growing up in Northwest Indiana, my beautiful mother's here. And Jim, I got to tell you, if I say my mother's age, she will physically beat me. In my family, you do not ask women how old you are. You just don't. And if you do, expect to get a kick in the ass. Anyway, my mother is here, and I love my mother and dad. My dad passed away 10 years ago, and I'm so fortunate. They did not think we would play basketball, and I'll get into my brother here in a minute. I'm going to cry, so just relax. Anyway, I'm going fast. My mother is like, yeah, well, my dad was a principal at Calumet High School, and I wanted a basket on our house. Well,
no, you guys won't play. You'll play football and baseball. I came home, never forget. My dad, now he'd probably get arrested for this, but he had the shop class come out and put a basket in our house. And I'm like, can you imagine doing that now? He'd be arrested, child labor laws, and everybody go jail. Some Me Too stuff probably involved. I don't know. But anyway, so my dad puts it up, and I'll never forget. I love basketball. I ran into that house. My brother went upstairs. I was so happy because the basketballs were downstairs. I ran into that house, got my basketball, ran and made the first bucket on that basket. And I got to tell you, I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was very shy, if you can believe this. I did not like being around people. I still don't. But when I got to go, right? So anyway, I hated being around people. I hated girls. Girls terrified me. So I would just shoot baskets, and I loved it. It's like some people can't wait to do I could not wait to go shoot around by myself with WLS from Chicago on the radio, listening to Larry Lujak and all these different guys. I absolutely love basketball. And I was so fortunate that my mother, I'm gonna cry, and my father supported all of it. My brother's my best friend, my brother's my mentor. My brother, we play our first game, and we beat Gary Roosevelt. Nobody knew us, we were all juniors. And my brother and I are sitting there around the clock in Gary, like 2 in the morning. He's like, you could be pretty good at this. I'm like, well, okay, great. But he's always been supportive, always been there. His beautiful wife, Roberta, is here. And I can't thank my brother. My sister was 6 years younger than me. And I always wanted to make sure, that my sister knew or was proud of her brother. She's whatever grade and we're high school heroes. And I always look at her. And she never knew this until maybe last night. And I just wanted my little sister to be proud of me. That's it. The only thing I wanted in basketball is to be captain of the team. I didn't care about anything. I just want to be captain of the team. And the proudest moment I have is being, me and Buckner are the only two-time captains at Indiana, and I'm very proud of that. I'm incredibly lucky to have 2 wonderful children. My son Andrew is coaching. He's really, really, really doing a great job at Illinois State. Yeah, and he told me, Dad, keep it funny and moving, and I'm trying, but I'm going fast. But anyway, I'm so proud of my son. He had a fantastic career, the only guy to ever transfer from Michigan to Ohio State. Man, that's a good move, though. Hey, look, it was a good move for me because it was $52,000 at Michigan. He got a scholarship at Ohio State. I mean, damn. Anyway, and he had a great career, and my daughter is a teacher. My daughter and I have an unbelievable relationship, and I'm just so proud of them both. My daughter is teaching teachers, which is interesting because she's like 25 years old. I mean, what the hell, but that's what she's doing. But she is absolutely the love of my life. I have many loves of my life. My mother's the love of my life. My daughter's the love of my life, and my wife, Lee, is the absolute love of my life, and I'm gonna cry. She's a legendary coach, softball Olympian, softball All-American, and I could not be happier with her, and I'm so proud and pleased that her daughter and her son, her daughter Tegan is, I'm get to be her stepdad. She went to Harvard. Now think about this. I say I'm the only step-parent to ever genetically influence the brain of their stepchild, which enabled her to go to Harvard. That's what I say. Not sure it's accurate. So then the first thing I did, I know I got to go, but the first thing I did when I got the call was call my mother. And then I called my kids. And then I called my wife too. But I called two guys I played high school basketball with, Kevin Page and Mike Paulson, and they're sitting right here. And I'll tell you why. I was a junior, they were seniors. They had played on bad teams at Andrew. Jimmy Bullock, who was a great player at Purdue, was a junior, me, Buzzy Goff, anyway. And these 2 guys are the best teammates I've ever had in my life. All they wanted to do was win. And all they wanted to do was lead. And all they wanted to do was beat Gary Roosevelt in the first game of the year, win a sectional for only the second time in Andrean history, go into the Final Four we didn't even think about. But anyway, I asked these 2 guys to come. Mike flew in from Utah. Kevin came down. They're both uber successful, CEOs of companies, and I knew they would be. But they're the best teammates I ever had. And then my good friend Cam Safali, who we used to line up every day and play 3 to a basket, which was a ridiculously stupid drill that my high school coach did. But for some reason, he wanted to do it. I'm the first Andrean Andrean graduate. I'm very proud to be the first Andrean graduate to make it up here, but I will not be the last. Brandon Brantley is at Purdue. Luke Herringgold is the all-time leading scorer. Notre Dame. Carson Cunningham, great player. Shane Powers and a bunch. Jimmy Bullock, my teammate, will probably be here next year if I have anything to say about it. But I cannot thank you enough. Mark Baltz, Jerry Pearson, thank you so much. My family, I love you. Thank you. Sorry, Rick, that was too long.
You're good. Now, normally when you say, hey, go check out what a member of the Dockich family put on social media, sometimes it's at your own risk. However, I would encourage you to go check out his brother Tom's Facebook post about Dan. It tells you all you know about Dan, tells you all you know about the Dockich family. And having worked with Dan for many years, I am so happy for you. Congratulations. And at the same time, I want to work on a little Dan Dockich math because I know the amount of money that Michael Jordan owes you about a golf match has grown exponentially over the years. So what's the take on that $7 that Kelvin owes JR at this point? How much is that? Like,
JR was not leaving.
he got his $7. You've collected. That's a true athletic director right there. He's getting his $7. Our next honoree, Jay Fry, Greencastle High School. Jay had a terrific career at Greencastle, played basketball, football, baseball, all semi-state in basketball, rushed for over 1,300 yards in one season of football, and in baseball he batted just shy of 500. He would play basketball at DePaul University. He had 16 double-doubles in scoring and assists. He is the co-founder and owner of the Fort Wayne Fury and started the Northeastern Indiana Sports Medicine program in 1990 that continues to serve thousands of athletes in Fort Wayne and Toledo. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Fry.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. My dad always told me never follow an animal act. And then also to follow Brian Bippus. If that wasn't inspiring, I don't know what was. Congratulations. And good evening to you all. I want to take a minute to thank the committee for this incredible honor. I had no idea that I could ever be standing here in front of all you like this. And thanks to my family and my many friends who are here tonight. We're in close contact with Clarence Crane on a leading ticket seller for this, so we sure appreciate everything that you're here. But it's been a great day, very humbling day, walking around the Hall of Fame and with many of these inductees, and I even made a good friend, or a new friend today, in Dan Dockich. And so I'm very honored to be here. I was advised by Sam Alford tonight to not break the Alford rule and talk for more than 3 minutes. So I guess Steve talked for 17 a few years ago. But I was going to thank the people here at Primo for using the shorter lectern or podium tonight so I could see over it. But now I'm standing here looking at all of you, and I wish they had brought out the big one so I could stand behind it. I had an experience. Many of you came in tonight and mentioned my tuxedo and how good I looked in it. Well, my wife Cheryl had me get measured. We live in Sarasota. Had me get measured last week for this, and then pick it up in Fort Wayne, so it wouldn't be wrinkled. And when I walked in, the guy couldn't find my tux, and he said, "Well, what's the occasion?" He said, "What wedding are you in?" I said, "Well, I'm not really in a wedding. I'm being inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame." He took one look at me and he goes, "Sure you are." So here I am tonight. He finally went back and found it in the junior section. And so here I am in my junior tuxedo and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So what an honor. I got to make up for a wrong that I committed 23 years ago. I got inducted into the DePaul University Hall of Fame, and I knew most of the people. It's a huge room like this, and I'm going around and thanking everyone, the ball boys, the ticket takers, everybody, coaches, and I thanked everyone in there except my most important person, my wife Cheryl, for 54 years. And Cheryl, I thank the committee today for giving me a chance to make up for that blunder so I can introduce you tonight. So if you would, please stand up there and thank you. That's my ultimate overachievement. And the rest of my family here tonight, my son Matt, Dr. Matt Fry, flew in from Spokane last night and is here with me tonight. Matt, my daughter Ashley, and who many of you met, who took care of all the ticket work for me, and her husband Bobby, and my sister Nan, her husband Rob, who flew in from Sarasota. My sister Nan always said she was my biggest fan, and I hope she still is. And my brother Ted and his son Alec and wife Maggie. So, and the rest of my family here, the Arnolds and the Richards. You can all stand up. I mean, Dan got his family to stand up, so I can hell stand up. Thank you. I've got, I believe, 5 of my teammates here tonight: Terry Ross and Donnie Irwin from Greencastle, and John Chin, Roy Simpson, and Gary Pittenger at DePauw, and these guys were all great scorers, and why I got a lot of assists. The reason I didn't get as many points is those guys never passed the ball back to me. So, but I'm so honored to have you guys here. I grew up in Greencastle. We didn't have ESPN back then, but ESPN to me was DePauw basketball. My dad took me up there all the time, and I had he told me always, well, he told me short was an advantage. I mean, what else is he going to tell me? but I had the honor of watching guys like Jim Collane, who was a great scorer. I saw him score 36 points one night against Indiana State. And then my all-time idol, Jack Hogan, who we had a competition to see which one of us is the shortest member in the Hall of Fame, and he beat me by about a half an inch. So I just had so much motivation. I got to watch all the people in the ICC, which many of you remember was just a great conference back then. And so my hope was that I would always get an opportunity to play at DePauw, and I did, and had a great career there. But like all kids, I grew up watching the Final Four and dreamt someday of playing on Butler Fieldhouse, Hinkle Fieldhouse now, that Butler floor. And finally got my opportunity to do that when we played Butler as a member of the conference, playing against Butler. My dream got shattered because I ended up having to guard Billy Shepard. And I was going to keep this really clean, but I've always said the only person that ever kicked my ass in basketball was Billy Shepard. And the greatest player I ever played against. And what's great about sports, he became one of my greatest friends. And the one thing that I enjoy most is kicking his ass on the golf course. No. So it was a great time. But the two things that I'm most proud of is that Cheryl and I were able to get back to basketball. They mentioned the sports medicine. It was non-existent in northern Indiana when I got out of school, and we had kids in our house. Matter of fact, the 1974 Northrop team was some of my first patients. And Cheryl would cook, and I would treat the kids, or we would go to games and go to different schools and tape kids up and get them ready to play. Now in northern Indiana, all the schools are covered by athletic trainers, physical therapists, doctors. The coverage is tremendous, so I'm really proud of that. Probably the thing I'm most proud of is the Fort Wayne Fury. We had 1.5 million people attend our games over a 10-year period of time. I don't know if anyone up north, they knew about it, but central Indiana and southern, you might not. We had 27 of our players went on to the NBA, 7 coaches, 2 trainers, a radio announcer, and there are three of our interns who are now executives in the NBA. 2 of the people that work for me, Rich Coffey and Ann Davis, and Ann, who's a great player in Indiana, did a great job for our franchise. Some of the names you might remember: Terry Stotts, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, got his first coaching job with the Fury, and then ended up with the many jobs, including Portland for 11 years. Keith Smart got his first coaching job, finished his playing career, and then became a great coach. Is now coaching at University of Arkansas. Craig Neal. Craig is head associate coach with Steve Alford, Nevada, and my great friend Steve Alford, and their family who've been so close to us, and they're starting their NCAA run tomorrow, over 700 wins between the two of them. Clifford Ray, who is just an unbelievable, great coach for us, and also won an NBA championship when he went from the Fury to the Boston Celtics. We had an icon, Damon Bailey, for 6 years, that many of you might have heard of. And then the person that one of my favorite players of all time that played for us, he was playing for us and got called up. He was starting for us and been a main part of our franchise. And 2 days later was called up to the San Antonio Spurs and ended up being a starter for the Spurs for many years and was on their first NBA championship team and was a main part of it. Flew in last night, surprised me, Jaron Jackson in the back row there. Jaron, thank you so much, and so very proud of you. But we're so involved in the community there, so proud of what we did for underprivileged kids and cancer kids, and so I'm just thankful that I had that opportunity to do that. Thankful to be able to represent Greencastle, DePaul, and the ICC, and so proud of my parents and my aunts and uncles who are up here tonight watching this. And ironically, today is my dad's 98th birthday. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for this wonderful evening. The other inductees, congratulations. Thank you so much.
I realized how many connections Jay had as I have talked to various people and gotten text messages throughout the day. One of those employees of your Rob Brown wanted to make sure he sent his heartiest congratulations that could not be here. And referenced the great days of the ICC, did Jay, the Indiana Collegiate Conference, was second team all-conference in those days. Here's that Billy Shepard again getting first team on you. And Don Boozy that played for the Indiana Pacers, also part of that first team as well. Jay, congratulations. Our next honoree is Al Gooden, Sr., Fort Wayne High School. Al averaged double figures in scoring his last 3 years in high school, played at Ball State. They made the NCAA tournament his senior year the first time. Coaching career, over 500 career high school coaching victories, a 2A state championship at Harding, stops at numerous places along the way. Lawrence Central, the last one of those. He was a coach of 4 state runners-up, 5 semi-state champions, 6 regional champions, and 14 sectional championships. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Gooden.
Thank you. I must be the biggest sucker in this building. I got 3 notes, 3 minutes. Everybody's speak got to be 3 minutes. And I actually timed myself for 3 minutes doing my speech at home. 3 minutes my foot, Dan. and I didn't cuss neither. But anyway, I want to use my 3 minutes of fame to tell you a couple things about myself and express my gratitude and appreciation to so many people that helped me out through my coaching career. First of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing and watching over me, and I pray that He continue to bless and watch over me. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for inducting me into the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame, and I'm both humble and appreciative of this honor. I remember when I was in the 7th grade, and I made the 7th grade basketball team. That's when my love affair of basketball began. And basketball has been loving me back ever since. I played high school basketball at Wayne High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to Ball State University. And during my sophomore year, I got a chance to coach a basketball camp. And I had a blast coaching those kids. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a basketball coach. So I talked to my high school coach, the late Will Dorman. He told me it was a great way for me to give back to the team, to the game, and a great way for me to stay close to the game. So here I am, 45 years later, standing in front of you, going into the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame. Life is good. I want to thank my family, my wife, Alicia, my son, AJ, my 2 daughters, Alicia and Ashley, and my 6 grandkids. For 20 plus years, my wife was my video recorder person. She recorded every basketball game that we played in. Thank you, Felicia. I love and appreciate you for that. And one of my greatest joys as a high school coach, I got a chance to coach my son throughout high school. And he was on our 2001 state championship team. And then 20 years later, I got a chance to coach my grandson. Hey, life is good. I'd like to thank all the ADs and principals that supported me while I coached at the high school. I coached at Harding High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana for 21 years. And in those 21 years, we played in 5 state championships. And we won the 2001 state championship. I know that's a good batting average for baseball, but it was very good to play in those games. I'd like to thank all the assistant coaches that coached along beside me throughout my coaching career. Bruce Stevens coached with me for 20 years. DeAndre Davis and Trey Granger coached with me for 8. J.J. Foster coached with me for 5 years. And I mention those guys because I have 6 assistant coaches and 2 ex-basketball players that are high school basketball coaches. And that is my coaching tree. I'm very proud of that tree. I'd like to thank the many, many basketball players that played for me and tried to do everything that I asked of them. I think I have about 4 of them that are here tonight. And I was big on discipline, and I was big on doing things the right way because I believe doing the right thing the right way means something. And in closing, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee again for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. And I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees. This is a great night for Al Gooden. Thank you all for coming out. May God bless you, and good night.
I'm very lucky that my time of calling high school basketball in Indianapolis on television with the Mick overlaid with Coach Gooden's days at Lawrence Central. And he referenced his grandson, Al III, in field. So if you're going to go cheer the Bears, you're going to see Al's grandson out there. Our next honor and played in the state record 9 over points at Manchester College, setting 8 school records on the USA team that won a FIBA Intercontinental. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Harris.
Thank you all for coming. Besides hitting the winning basket at the state basketball championship, I can't think of a greater honor than being selected into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the selection committee for bestowing upon me this honor. As I think back over my basketball career, numerous people come to mind that had a hand in my success. First of all, I must thank my father. When I just started playing, he said to me, it's easy to be better than someone if you're bigger than they are, but you need to learn how to play the game. My high school coach was Richard Butt. Ironically, he was inducted into last year's class. Sadly, he passed away about a month ago. Coach Butt taught me humility. He reminded me that it doesn't matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody just a little bit better. My college coach, Claude Wolf, helped me improve my basketball skills. Under his guidance, my game improved each year. But more importantly, he improved my life skills as well. His message to me was that basketball doesn't last forever. Your reputation as a person does. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize how much my teammates contributed to my success. From high school, where we won the sectional, only to lose in a regional in 9 overtimes. It took a while, but my teammates have finally forgiven me for fouling out and helping them lose the game. My college teammates, including my older brother Bob, made me look good enough to become an NAIA All-American. The teammates I had after college made me look good enough to be able to try out for the 1972 Olympic team. Although most of the time they get little or no recognition, I would like to thank all the fans that supported me all of my playing days. Although we only had 75 kids in high school, the stands were always full with family and friends. Some of those family members and friends are here this evening. My Manchester University friends are here as well, including two of my best friends, Wayne Kern and John Knopf. Family support was also invaluable, even from those who had to live in the shadow of being related to or compared to Dick Harris. Even they like me now. I'm grateful for all those who came this evening to share this honor with me. And if you wouldn't mind, could you have my family stand over there at the table? They're not clear at the end of the room, but I would like to dedicate this evening to family members and my friends who are no longer with us. They may not be here in person, but they are in spirit. They are all looking down from above with smiles on their faces. And even though I haven't played basketball in a long time, the experiences still mean a great deal to me. I was able to learn a lot of life skills. I was introduced to many wonderful people, and I was able to travel in many parts of the world. I leave here tonight with two thoughts. One is how grateful I am to be included with my fellow inductees. The second is thinking about hitting that last second shot and winning the state championship for Liberty Center again. Thank you all for coming and sharing this experience.
I have to leave it to Andy, our interpreter, who just raised a very good point. How did you have enough players to finish a 9 overtime game anyway? Wouldn't everybody have fouled out at some point in time? I was the only one that did. Sometimes you can be too honest for your own good, sir. Dick, congratulations. Our next honoree is Joe Mullen, Evansville North High School. Joe played at Evansville North and at George Washington. He coached at Evansville Bosse. He had 6 city, 6 conference, 5 sectional, 3 regional, and 1 semi-state championship team. He coached 11 years at Bosse. He had an undefeated season, was ranked number 1 most of both 82 and 83. His winning percentage as the head coach of Bosse was 79%. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Mullen.
I'm sure most of you are getting tired of listening to all this talk up here. I noticed a few of the people already started to walk out, so I'm going to be very short. First of all, I want to thank Rich Racimus, Dave Shellhouse, and Tim Etheridge for nominating me for the Hall of Fame. I would also like to thank the Hall of Fame committee when they made the selection to choose me as a member. My love for Indiana high school basketball started when I was 10 years old. I lived in Washington, Indiana, was a big Hatchet fan. In 1954, I was 10 years old. My dad graduated from Napoleon High School. You probably never heard of Napoleon High School. 1940. 1940, Napoleon team, he played against the Milan Indians. In 1954, as you know, is the year that Milan won the state championship. And in order to honor that team, my dad made it a point, he went out and bought our first television set, 14 inches. Most of the neighborhood showed up to watch the game. And when Milan won the state championship, it was just pandemonium in the Mullen household. Also, I'd like to recognize Gene White, who was a member of that Milan team. I'm honored to be inducted the same night that Gene is being inducted. I owe my success as a coach to two individuals. Jim Roush, who coached me at Evansville North High School. Jim is a member of the Hall of Fame. He won a state championship in 1967. The second person that I owe my success to is Bill Reinhardt. Bill Reinhardt was my coach at George Washington University. Coach Reinhardt coached Red Auerbach. And if you ever read books by Red Auerbach, he always devotes a chapter to Bill Reinhardt for teaching him the fast break in basketball. And as you know, the Celtics under Auerbach was unbeatable in the 50s and 60s. And Coach Auerbach always said it was the result of Coach Reinhardt. After graduating from George Washington University, my first teaching and coaching job was in Arlington, Virginia. I coached at a junior high school for 4 years. After 4 years, I had a chance to go back home to Evansville, Indiana. I coached at Evansville North as a freshman coach, JV coach, and then finally in 1980, I was appointed the head coach at Evansville Bosse High School. And I had unbelievable players at Bosse High School in the 80s and 90s. I think they mentioned it. 1982, we were ranked number one in the state of Indiana the whole year. 83, we were ranked number one again, and we finished ranked number 3 in USA Today in their ranking. At Bosse, I was very, very privileged to coach 3 individuals who were on the Indiana All-Star team. Myron Christian, 1982, Derek Dow, 1983, and Andy Elkins, 1992. And Andy, I think, is in attendance. He is now athletic director at Indianapolis North Central High School. In closing, I would like to thank all of my ex-teammates, former players, friends, and family members who are here tonight. So I'd like to recognize those individuals. Would you please stand? And last person I want to acknowledge is the MVP of my coaching career. She is an unbelievable human being. April 18th, this year we will be married 60 years. So I would like for my wife, Judy Mullen, to please stand. I love you. Thank you.
That's a good way to end it right there. Next up, Pete Smith, Rochester Fighting Zebras. That's how Pete would end Rochester, not the high school, the Fighting Zebras part. Tennis player in college, track athlete in high school, basketball player in both high school and college. Played for Homer Drew at Bethel. However, you probably best know Pete from his coaching days. Whether it be studying under Dave Hadaway at South Bend Adams, Al Rhodes at Warsaw, head coach at Manchester High School, Noblesville, Penn, Carmel, but started the program at Guerin Catholic and was there for 16 years and won state championships in 2012, 2015. There are the numerous different camps and McDonald's All-American teams and stories, but one of the great things that Pete is most proud of is that 17 of his former assistants went on to become head coaches, including one you may have heard of. He was honored last year, Brad Stevens. Joining him in the Hall of Fame ever so rightly is my good friend, Pete Smith.
Hey, Donna. Hey, we're waiting to see you all night. I know. I'm both those. Congratulations, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we can see you. Thank you for everything.
Good evening. As my longtime friend Al Gooden explained, we were told we have 3 minutes. So I am going to try to keep to that. And I don't blame anybody else for going over 3 minutes, but Al and I are pretty old school. We've known each other since the early 80s, playing against each other sometimes in the summers and coached against each other. I'm so proud to go in with Coach Gooden. I want to congratulate my fellow inductees on this stage tonight. It's an incredible honor. I'm so humbled. I want to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for choosing me. I'd like to also thank my former Carmel player and later on assistant coach Andy Warren and Judy Warren for nominating me for this honor. And again, I can't thank the committee and the Hall enough. I've always had a love for and a passion for and the utmost respect for the game of basketball. I am so humbled and grateful for this recognition, and I thank God for all my blessings. Because we're limited on time to speak, 3 minutes, there's no way I can appropriately thank all the people I need to, and for that in advance, and they're all over, spread over the room, I apologize. I share this honor with my wife, Vicki, and her family, Brian, Lindsay, and Patrick. If they would stand very briefly here. You'll hear why here in a second. Vicki and I started dating in 1993 when I was the coach at Noblesville. We were married in 1998 when I was the coach at Penn, and she and the kids were the reason I left Penn to come back to Hamilton County. And I need to, I'd be remiss if I didn't say our son Patrick is an alum of Indiana School for the Deaf. So. Later, Vicki encouraged me in 2004 to start a basketball program, as Greg mentioned, from its inception when Guerin Catholic opened, and what a blessing it was for me. That was unbelievable, gratifying, and so much fun. And I want to thank former IU basketball star, the late Eric Anderson, who was the Golden Eagles AD at the time, for trusting me to do that, because all I did was go down to his office and say, Vicky thinks I should be your basketball coach. And he goes, yeah, dude. If you knew Eric, you knew that was kind of how Eric kind of rolled. So entering my junior year at Bethel College, our coach Homer Drew asked me why I was majoring in accounting and business administration and not in business education. He said, you want to coach someday, you said, but to be a high school basketball coach at that time, you had to be a teacher. And so because of that, I changed my major because of Coach Drew to business education, hoping that someday maybe I could be a head coach. I had wonderful coaches in high school at Rochester High School, Fighting Zebras, as Greg pointed out, and one of them is here tonight, Hall of Famer himself, Phil McCarter. Where are you, Coach McCarter? You're in the building somewhere. He'll be 95 years old in June, and I'm so thrilled that he and his son Joe made the trip from Lake Manitou to be here. His son David was an unbelievable role model for me, a great high school player himself, and David was a great friend. All my coaches seem to recognize that I like teaching and coaching, and it started with youth basketball camps. In high school, I worked Lancer basketball camp, a famous camp at Grace College, and the 2 summers I worked there, my 2 roommates were future Hall of Famers, Ted Kitchell one summer and David Colescott the next summer. And I learned then that surrounding yourself and being around as many good players and coaches and people you could be around is going to make you successful also. Before Dr. John Eckert hired me at Manchester High School as the Squires basketball coach in 1987, I was an assistant coach 1 year with another Hall of Famer, Dave Hadaway, at South Bend Adams, who had a player, Jimmy Webb, who was an unbelievable player. And I got to coach 4 years at Warsaw High School, an assistant for Hall of Famer Al Rhodes. And Coach Rhodes is here tonight, and I can't thank him enough for teaching me how to be an effective coach. He put the cap on what I learned in college and high school, I think, to be an effective coach. And he also helped me get into the 5-star basketball camp, which I was there for 23 summers, ended up being the head coach of it, and got to be around so many great, unbelievable coaches and players there that I tapped into their knowledge and got just an unbelievable network because of that. I was very blessed, though, when we're talking about the high school players. I had players that were extremely coachable. We didn't always win. Sometimes we did the best we could, and we didn't win a lot of games at some of the schools I was at. I remember, Vicky, my second game as a head coach at Carmel High School, and I got home about 11:15 from the game, and we'd gotten beat 82-41 by North Central, and they had this little guy named Jason Gardner that we talked about, and she's making me a toasted cheese, and she said, honey, these aren't the same teams you played at Penn. And when you came to the Indianapolis area in the late 90s, the whole culture of basketball was changing, and the teams down here were very strong. And I had a great group, but we struggled with some of the teams we played. But they gave it everything they had. My kids have been coachable. That's why we've been successful. But they also knew at the same time I was trying to develop them as people and for future success in life and not just on the basketball court. And I'm very proud of so many guys that are here tonight, and I appreciate everyone that attended the banquet tonight. So much thanks goes out to all the assistant coaches Greg made reference to. Some of them have really went on and done great things, and even the ones that haven't went on to become head coaches have been outstanding assistant coaches, and they figured out their niches. Also, the student assistants and managers that I've had, I think I had 6 straight years where they went on to college and were managers for their college teams because I kind of enticed a little carrot over them. I'll find you somewhere if you want to be a manager, and some of them have done just unbelievable things, and I really appreciate that. But the big thing was I surrounded myself with outstanding assistants who are compatible to my coaching style because I had a definite way I wanted to play basketball. We wanted to run and have fun. And, there are a couple of coaches that didn't quite do that, so after 1 year, we found another compatible type coach. But in the long run, a lot of them, after 27 years of being a head coach, really bought into it. In closing, since being voted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, as well as tonight and today, has just been wonderful. My father and mother passed away a long time ago, and wish I could share this with them tonight. I dedicate this honor and memory to my dad. He was a high schooler. He was a Tipton Blue Devil, and then they transferred. He was a West Lafayette Red Devil in high school, and he started taking me to zebra games when I was in 5th grade in Rochester. We had the 70s. Rochester basketball was the bop. It was just killing it. We had great teams. Got beat in the regional a couple years. Our team got beat in the regional when I played, but it was special in the city of Rochester, and it really whet my appetite to love basketball. And my dad meant so much to me. He would take my best friend Eric Lee and I to basketball games when we were in junior high and take us to the regionals up in Elkhart, 9,000 people at Northside Gym, and really fueled that passion for my love of basketball. So again, it's a great honor to be inducted in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, and thank you. Appreciate it. Did I make 3 minutes? Did I make 3 minutes?
First of all, Pete, nobody thought you would go 3 minutes. So don't worry about that. Secondly, some of those managers you talked about, a couple of them are good friends of mine. So John Boss and Danny Hubbard, great to see you guys here this evening. Pete and I share a bond of a love for basketball, but we also share a bond in terms of being a parent, in terms of, you know, a child that has to overcome a little bit. So I'm going to send a quick note to Patrick. I get to spend a lot of time around your dad, and I cannot begin to tell you how proud of you he is and how much he loves you. So Patrick, it's good to see you here tonight as well. Our next honoree is Larry Weatherford Sr., Evansville Bossy. Larry's career scoring record of nearly 1,600 points broke Dave Shellhouse's record. Larry averaged 28.5 points per game as a senior. He played 4 years at Purdue for head coach George King, averaged 21 points a game as a senior. Larry has been involved in the Evansville community as a recreational leader and a counselor at a correctional facility and the Evansville YMCA. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry A. Weatherford Sr. Congratulations, Larry. And here to assist, Connie Baltzel Jr. with the acceptance speech tonight. Congratulations.
Good evening. Thank you, Greg. My name is Connie Lou Baltzel Jr. I'm proud to speak on behalf of my cousin Larry Allen Weatherford Sr. and accept his award on his behalf. I am a Baptist preacher, so I've been summoned with a strict, clear, and precise instructions. And hear what it says. Stick to the script. So I'll do my best. And so I'm trying to do my best. But I would like to acknowledge table 15, which is the Weatherford and Baltzel's family to my left. Larry couldn't be here tonight because of health reasons. When it was announced that he was being inducted into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, he was speechless. And anyone that knows Larry knows that that's not his usual response. To be recognized alongside some of the Indiana's most talented basketball legends in an honor and humbling experience. He would like to thank his family, friends, coaches, teammates, and fans that have supported him throughout his basketball career and beyond. I have to move from the script for a moment because my cousin Robert Weatherford Jr. had made mention that it was my father, Connie Lou Baltzel Sr., who put up a basketball goal for Larry to practice at. And I feel honored just to get that tonight. As I quote Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, and sacrifice. And most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. Quote by Pele. Congratulations to all the inductees and their families, and may you continue to find success in all that you do. God bless in each and every one of you, and have a restful night. And thank y'all so much. Peace.
Connie did a tremendous job, but he also violated a rule that my agent has talked about. I'm supposed to have the coolest voice on this stage. And we had a real good run going until Connie got up here. And I know that you work for the Lord, and that's the most important thing, but you've got to have some radio in your background somewhere at some point in time. I'm going to talk to Ed Lander in Evansville. We'll get you some time on WEOA. Our last honoree only last because his last name starts with W and H. But he is part of, frankly, what is thought to be one of the most momentous sports occasions in the history of this state. Again, today is the 70th anniversary of Milan beating Muncie Central in the 1954 state championship game. Ladies and gentlemen, Gene White. Gene was all sectional, all regional, all semi-state, all state finalist, because again, Milan made the state finals back-to-back years in 53 and 54, of course, winning the championship in 54. Played at Franklin College, then served in the Army, then was the AD at Batesville and Milan before beginning his coaching career, was the head coach at Milan for 3 years and assistant at Franklin College, then coached the Franklin College women's team where he won conference and several Coach of the Year awards. Again, Gene White.
I was warned. My friend Bobby Plump told me that, White, he said, you'll be the last guy here. And I think that was a subtle warning, but he's accurate. He's been here before. I was a math and science major and never intended to teach. And obviously I didn't figure very well because I taught 40 years and in 3 places that you just heard about, and didn't ever entered my mind to coach. But when you teach at a small school, there are certain places or things that they don't have anyone to handle. And basketball, lower level basketball was one of them. So I took one job at Milan in the junior high, not because I knew a lot of basketball, but because my salary was $5,000 a year, and that went all right. Then I quit for a while, and then I was at Batesville, and the same thing happened to me, although I didn't. It was baseball, I think, in there. So I think, based on what I've heard and noticed, that I probably ought to have some people here from Milan and other places, because they're about to sleep over here, I think. And one of them's my wife of 66 years. I wish she would stand up. And yeah, there she is. I know that she's had a rough time too, because she stayed 66 years. Also have a few fellows from Milan team that, and I say few because we're slowly disappearing, but I hope they stand up because they're great, great ball players, and I really appreciated being around them. I don't know, maybe they took off, I don't know. There they are back there. Yeah. They are great ball players. I've told them, I think, we were good for one reason. It was a small school, we weren't unusually tall, but no one was a player that once said, I can score this many points in a game. We played to score when we were open, and that was it. Bobby was often the leading scorer. He was probably the best one of us. But we just never talked about numbers there. It was to win. And that paid off. We had a couple of pretty good years. And I have some other kids here and their husband or wives, whichever the case is. They may want to stand up too because it's been sitting a long time. Yeah, but yeah, there they are down. Yeah. Well, anyway, I appreciate the fact that the organization felt that I deserved it, but like I said, my major was math and physics, and I taught that, and I coached only because of those guys and are playing in high school. It pays to win when you're in a small school. That's a big thing. And that's about all I can say. I was getting tired down here, and I'm getting tired now.
Well, about to wrap things up. Last year we hit 8:58. We missed that by about 15 minutes. That's still not bad for the overall history of this event. One quick plug. We referenced the fact that the 7th anniversary of the Milan Miracle is tonight. In 3 days at the Milan High School Gymnasium, they will honor Gene and Bobby and Roger and Rollin and Ray and that wonderful team from 1954. It's going to be at 11 o'clock is the official kind of recognition ceremony. So since the NCAA tournament games here are Friday and Sunday, and there's no high school basketball this weekend, you got to wait till next weekend. Make the trip down I-74 and join us in Milan coming up Saturday at 11 a.m. All these gentlemen have plaques, but they're not officially Hall of Famers just yet. So here to give the formal induction procedure, once again, Hall of Fame President Donna Sullivan.
If I could get all the gentlemen on the top tier up here to stand, plus the families of the deceased whose representatives were up here and accepted the awards, also one of them to stand too. Ladies and gentlemen, as president of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome you into a permanent enshrinement induction into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in Newcastle, Indiana, with the class of 2024. Let's give them all a big hand. Along with that, let's give all these other honorees a big hand too, our silver anniversary team. This concludes our evening. Congratulations to all those who were honored tonight. Drive safe, and thank you again for your support of Indiana high school basketball.